to another video. Today I wanted to just ramble a bit about some of my recent reads and have some nice page flipping sounds as well as tapping. Maybe some tracing as well. The first book is Solitaire. Solitaire by Alice Oseman. You might know her from Heartstopper, which is a graphic novel and webtoon series recently turned Netflix TV show. But this is her debut book before she wrote Heartstopper. It is a young adult book. I was going to try to say something else. Story. I mean, anyone can read it, but it's definitely very relatable to like a high school audience. I know that it can split the waters because my boyfriend, I guess my fiance now, actually did not like it that much, whereas I found the main character pretty relatable. He found her confusing and annoying, so it really depends on your own experiences and point of view, I guess. But basically, it's about Tori Spring. She's the big sister to Charlie Spring. It's one of the main characters in Heartstopper. And this is about her, I think, final year at what would be considered the same as high school in England. I don't understand either school system, so I won't try. But I think it's the last year before she goes somewhere else, whatever she picks, I suppose. And, well, she's not having a great time. She is like these footsteps wandering around aimlessly. Doesn't really know who she is, who she wants to be, and she seems very, very depressed without knowing that she is. She meets Michael Holden, who is a boy. I think he's 1 year old, I'm not sure. Because he's still at the same school, so I guess they have to be the same. I actually don't know. This was the first of the 3 I read, so it's been a bit. But yeah, he's a bit of a weirdo. People think he's weird, and I mean he is, but he's like very opposite of Tori, because has that golden retriever energy, but he also carries some secrets that we learn about throughout the book. And it's mostly about the friendship, which I think is why it says this is not a love story. Should turn it around for you again. You don't have to have read anything else to read this. You can also read Heartstopper without reading this. So even though it's in the same universe, some of the characters reappear, it doesn't really change the story. The most correct would be to read this first out of all of our stuff, since it was the first. Try to read. The beginning. I am aware as I step into the common room that the majority of people here are almost dead, including me. I have been reliably informed that post-Christmas blues are entirely normal and that we should expect to feel somewhat numb after the happiest time of the year. But I don't feel so different now to how I felt on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day or on any other day since the Christmas holidays started. I'm back now, and it's another year. Nothing is going to happen. I stand there. Becky and I look at each other. Tori, Becky says, you look a little bit like you want to kill yourself. And that's a way to start. Definitely shows her mood as a person. Let's go to the second book. This is the second book. You might notice a similarity to the last one. This one is called Radio Silence. Radio Silence. This is difficult. Upside down. I'm like, how? What am I doing? I'm like, But yeah. Again, by Alice Oseman. I think this one could be the second one, since the events start right after the events of Solitaire. So you should not read this one first unless you want to be spoiled about some of the stuff in the first book. We follow a completely different person called Francis. And as you can probably tell from the cover, she's getting tangled up in quite a bit of internet drama and losing her footing, I guess, since she's falling here. You can look at the back. So, Francis is someone who studies a lot and has a whole life planned out. Another very relatable teenage young adult conundrum, where you do what you think you should do, what everyone tells you should do, especially if you're really good in school. You have all these expectations thrust upon you, and then Francis has been good friends with Caris, I don't know how to pronounce it, but she disappeared, and that's like a mystery in the book. But it's not the main thing. The main thing is her friendship with Eled and her almost obsessiveness with a fandom, which is a made-up fandom for this book called Universe City. So it's like a she becomes an artist for the show. And there's a whole lot of secrets and drama and figuring out what you want versus your parents or society. I think I enjoyed Solitaire a tiny bit more than this one, but they were both pretty good if you enjoy young adult, or if you are a young adult yourself. It's pretty relatable and the writing is very easy to get through. It's very easily read book. And I think Alice does characters and dialogue very well. They feel like real people, which, as a writer myself, trying to write, that can be very, very difficult. All the characters kind of blend together sometimes, if you're not careful. That was the second book. Now let's go to my current read. The third book and my current read is this very, very popular right now fantasy or romantasy, as they call it. It is the second book in the Empyrean series by Rebecca Yarros. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. Iron Flame. It well, I don't want to spoil in case you haven't read the first one either. I feel like everyone has read it and I'm just behind, but I'm almost done. I have like, I want to say 60 pages left, and well, It's a fantasy romance book. So it's like typical fantasy, but instead of the characters being young adults, they are in their 20s and they do things to each other. So the spice level is higher than like a typical young adult fantasy. I don't think it's that spicy. Like, honestly, I don't know. Depends on you as a person, but it's fine. It's pretty good, like plot-wise and the world building, the characters. It does remind me and a lot of others of a lot of other fantasy books. Some people are saying it's plagiarism. I don't think so. It borrows things, but it does not feel like it's a copy of anything that I've read, at least. Has dragons, as you can see. That's always a very popular thing to have. I don't think it's like as gritty as Game of Thrones. It's definitely an easier read than Game of Thrones. It's not that heavy with like politics and long descriptions of food and places. It's more reader friendly, I'll say. Not that Game of Thrones is bad, it's just hard sometimes. I guess I shouldn't turn this around because there'll be spoilers in the back. By the time I upload this, I will have read the whole book, so, you know, you can't spoil me in the comments, but I guess you could accidentally spoil someone else, but yeah. I'll just talk about it in broad terms, so you won't get any spoilers. In the first book, called Fourth Wing, we follow Violet, who is just about to enroll in the war college, I guess. The place where you can become a dragon rider. And, well, she's not actually been planning for this. She's been planning to become a scribe, which are the people that record history and write messages to send out to the front. And, well, it's a very different life, a very different education, tactic. They have a very specific tactic for their students. To become a writer, you have to survive a lot of things that seem unnecessary. Where you could be like, well, why they have to walk over a very narrow path to even get to the college and enlist. And if you fall down, you just die. Like, you fall into a river and you just die. And you know, you could be like, well, why don't they just catch them? They could try again next year. And the argument is that the dragons wouldn't want someone who couldn't do this, who wasn't willing to risk their lives, I guess. And yeah, the students can kill each other as well during their time there, so you always have to watch your back. And Violet is small and frail and not very good at anything she's supposed to be good at the beginning at least. That being said, she does end up having some Mary Sue characteristics, which means she becomes a little bit too lucky, a little bit too good at learning the things she doesn't know how to do. But it always happens. It's not just a thing in this book. And it happens also with the main male character. So it doesn't feel like it's exclusively her and that it's a problem. I think it's pretty well balanced in this one. It's very long. Also, the reason it's a bit broken is that it's actually a library book. I forgot to tell you that. It's not because I've ruined my book. It's been read so many times, I assume, since it's so popular. And it's even falling more apart on the back. I might buy them when the third one comes out, but for now, I got them from the library. Maybe we can look at the maps in here. We have the Basquiat War College. I have absolutely no idea if that's how you say it. I'll have to wait for the movie for that. But yeah, I think it's Basquiat. And this map is framed by some columns that become dragons. Oh, maybe I should also talk about the main male character. So yeah, Violet becomes a part of this She obviously doesn't die, even though, it's very dangerous and she's small and all that. The main male character is Satan. That name is so funny because it's obviously trying to reference a different name. It's spelled with a X, Xaden. But yeah, he is someone who is a child of the leader of the previous rebellion. So Violet is the daughter of a general, and so of course there's some animosity between them. And well, the whole point is that they end up falling in love and find out things about each other and the society. It's honestly difficult to say anything without spoiling. If you like plot twists and reveals, you'll definitely enjoy this series. They just keep coming and they don't stop coming. You might be able to guess a bunch of them, but it's still exciting enough. Yeah, there's a magic system where if you get a dragon, not everyone gets one. You have to be able to pass a bunch of deadly tests, basically, and a few normal classes. They have some history and physics. But yeah. And then you have to defeat the gauntlet, which is like a very high cliff full of obstacles. And then on the flight field, you have to face the dragons. And outside of this map, you have to then face the dragons and see if you can get any one of them to choose you. And then once you've been chosen by a dragon, you can I don't remember what it's called. You channel their magic and then you make your own magic, which is called a signet. So then you have like a power that's like special to you, where Satan has shadow powers. So yeah, pretty well-known power to have in romantasy, but it's good enough. If we look at the map, we have the Riders Quadrant, so that's where I don't actually know exactly what they do there. If this is the dorms, I guess they sleep here, but the first years are here. What does this say? Gathering hall. Where they gather for what? No one knows. Academic wing. Academic wing sounds like where they have classes, maybe. Yeah. And this is the other quadrants where they don't become dragon riders. So the healer, they obviously learn to heal. Infantry are people without dragons that go to war, even though they don't have dragons. And then the scribes underground with their texts. And yeah, this map has not helped me at all actually, because like you could tell I don't know, I don't think it's been explained very well, but it's nice to have a little bit of a look. But I think my inner world is better off without the map. Same goes for this. I don't know if the whole map is in the picture, but this is the country, Navarre, where we are. And then we have the neighboring country that we are at war with, Romeo. And the Barrens is a strip of bare land that is explained in the first book. But yeah, this map also has not helped me very much, because you see all these cities, right? And you see all the provinces, and you're like, oh, these cities must be the ones that are important. No. Some of them might be. But like, I feel like a lot of them, I was like, every time they would mention a city in the book, like something was happening at this border city, I would look at the map and I would be like, why is it not there? So Basquiat obviously is where we're at, so that's important. This one has been mentioned. This one and this one and this one, I do not remember being mentioned at all. This one's been mentioned in the second book. This one in the second book. I honestly thought this one was over here. I don't know why. This one was mentioned. But like, especially Samara. I feel like Samara has been mentioned quite a lot in this book. I would have thought it would be added. But again, it's nice to have like a little bit of an understanding. But honestly, I don't think this map works for me. It confuses me more than it helps. But yeah, I also think this book is very good with its side characters, but because it's also about romance, they don't really get that much time to shine. But it's a very long book, so they do get some time. And honestly, I hope they get a TV series instead of a movie, because that would give them more time, not only to do the actual content, but also to expand on some of the side characters. I feel like that would be a good idea. You know, where in the book you would have a little montage, it would be like, oh, this and this happened, we did this and this, and now it's a month later. You could do a little bit more in a TV show. You could actually show some of it. If you have read it, what do you think? And who's your favorite? What do you think of Dane? I feel like that's a good icebreaker question. I have read some reviews where people have loved the first one, but they have hated the second one or been very disappointed. I, having 60 pages left, of course I don't know what is at the end, but so far I don't see why you would hate it or even be disappointed. I feel like it's very much in the same vein as the first one. So, if you are one of the ones that disliked it or was disappointed, please tell me why, because I'm not sure I understand. There's some relationship drama, but I mean that's kind of what you sign up for when you read a romance book. Things can't just be all happy when we're not at the end. That's actually one of the things I was surprised about with this book, this series. So far, it has a very healthy relationship. Like, sure, he's dangerous and he's hot and all that, whatever. But, and yeah, they have communication issues, but they do actually try to communicate, which is refreshing. And they both seem to be very concerned about consent and how each other feels about different things. And they feel very mature, but still manage to have problems. Whereas in a lot of young adult romances, you can feel that they are very immature and like problems for the sake of problems arise. But yeah. Those were the 3 recent reads I've had. I'm considering doing a more scripted video, like a library roleplay, where I would pick a bunch of different genres and like tell you a bit about them, read the back for you, and then old school, writing you up for a library card. Get some keyboard sounds, pencil sounds. I always find the library relaxing, unless there are a bunch of kids over. Anyway, I guess I should end this video now. I hope you liked this, that it made you relaxed, got you some tingles, maybe inspiration for new books to read. If you have any recommendations, I have a long list of books I have to read, but there's always room for more.